Wordsworth, Romney, obsolescence.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. This is Mr. Romney Wordsworth. In his last 48 hours on Earth, he's a citizen of the state, but will soon have to be eliminated. Because he is built out of flesh, and because he has a mind.
You've been under investigation, Mr. Wordsworth, for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You're found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in the matter and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth? Your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth?
A librarian.
A librarian. Having to do with books.
Yes, sir. Books.
Since there are no more books, Mr. Wordsworth, there are no more libraries. The field investigators in your sector have classified you as obsolete. Your rights are as follows, Mr. Wordsworth. You are to be liquidated within a period of 48 hours. You are obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
A lie. No man is obsolete.
You have no function, Mr. Wordsworth. You're an anachronism, like a ghost from another time.
I am nothing more than a reminder to you that you cannot destroy truth by burning pages.
You're a bug, Mr. Wordsworth, a crawling insect, an ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions that you inject into your veins with printer's ink. The narcotics that you call literature, poetry, essays of all kind, all of it an opiate. You have nothing but spindly limbs and a dream, and the state has no use for your kind.
I don't care. I tell you, I don't care. I'm a human being. I exist. And if I speak one thought aloud, that thought lives, even after I'm shoveled into my grave.
The Chancellor, the late Chancellor, was only partly correct. He was obsolete. But so is the state, the entity he worshipped. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete.
Hallo allemaal, daar zijn we er weer. RHTV live vanuit het mooie Maastricht. Ja, we gaan het natuurlijk op de kaart laten zien. Hier zien we ons mooie Maastricht in het zuiden des lands. And for all you English-speaking viewers, we are streaming live from Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. So, as you may know, if you're watching RHTVLive, we talk about geopolitics. Ja mensen, daar gaat het over, geopolitiek. Maar niet alleen dat, we praten ook over geschiedenis. Yeah, we also talk about history, right? So, we're going to show you something that happened a few years ago, right? The Winter Soldiers came out to speak about the atrocities that were done in Iraq. Ja, de wintersoldaten die komen uit en die zeggen, hey, wat wij allemaal in Irak hebben gedaan, dat is fout. We gaan zo even een clipje bekijken. Ja, want wij denken ook aan geschiedenis. Dus hier komt een clipje van de Winter Soldier, één van de Winter Soldiers. Daar heb ik het niet over Marvel. Nee, geen Captain America. Nee, we houden het bij de realiteit. En de Winter Soldier, dat staat dus bekend als een soldaat die uitspreekt. Zoals er ook in Vietnam was er ook allerlei soldaten die uitspraken. Die werden ook bekend als de Winter Soldiers. The Winter Soldier Mike Preisner testimony part 1. Yeah. So we're going to look at this Winter Soldier here, right, and listen to his testimony about the invasion of Iraq.
I joined the Army, left for basic training on my 18th birthday in June of 2001. I was assigned to the 10th Mountain Division, and in March of 2003, I was attached to the 173rd Airborne Brigade and deployed to northern Iraq. So when I first joined the Army, we were told that racism no longer existed in the military. A legacy of inequality and discrimination was suddenly washed away by something called the Equal Opportunity Program. We would sit through mandatory classes, and every unit had this EO representative to ensure that no elements of racism could resurface. And the Army seemed firmly dedicated to smashing any hint of racism. And then September 11th happened, and I began to hear new words like towelhead and camel jockey, and the most disturbing, sand nigger. And these words did not initially come from my fellow soldiers, but from my superiors, my platoon sergeant, my company first sergeant, battalion commander. All the way up the chain of command, these terms, these viciously racist terms, were suddenly acceptable. And I noticed that the most overt racism came from veterans of the first Gulf War. And those are the words they used when they were incinerating civilian convoys. Those are the words they used when this government deliberately targeted civilian infrastructure, bombing water supplies, knowing that it would kill hundreds of thousands of children. Those are the words the American people used when they allowed this government to sanction Iraq. And this is something that many people forget, and we can't forget, is that we've just learned that we've killed over 1 million Iraqis since this invasion, but we already killed 1 million Iraqis in the 90s through sanctions and bombings prior to this invasion. The number truly is much higher. But when I got to Iraq in 2003, I learned a new word, and that word was Haji. Haji was the enemy. Haji was every Iraqi. He was not a person, a father, a teacher, or a worker. And it's important, we've heard this word a lot during Winter Soldier, but it's important to understand where this word came from. And the most important thing is to take a pilgrimage to Mecca. It's the Hajj, and someone who has taken this pilgrimage is a Haji. And it's something that in traditional Islam is the highest calling in the religion. So we took the best thing for a Muslim and made it into the worst thing. But history did not start with us, and since the creation of this country, racism has been used to justify expansion and oppression. The Native Americans were called savages, the Africans were called all sorts of things to excuse slavery, and Vietnam veterans know of the multitude of words used to justify that imperialist war. So Haji was the word we used. It was the word we used on this particular mission I'm going to talk about. And we've heard a lot about different raids and kicking down the doors of people's houses and ransacking their houses. But this mission was different, a different kind of raid. I never got any explanation for these orders. We were only told that this group of houses, 5 or 6 houses, were now property of the U.S. military, and we had to go in and make those families leave those houses. So we went to these houses and informed the families that those homes were no longer their homes. We provided them no alternative, nowhere to go, no compensation, and they were very confused and very scared and did not know what to do and would not leave, so we had to remove them from those houses.
You know, Iraq was attacked because of the weapons of mass destruction that was not present in Iraq. So
One family in particular, a woman.
So you have these soldiers, right, doing their duty for everything that looks like a nail, you know. If you act like a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So you have a foreign country occupying another country under false pretext, and millions of people have died. They've died, you know, because of these sanctions. Ja, miljoenen mensen zijn doodgegaan door sancties. Ja, hè, zoals die soldaat al zei, hè, die ex-soldaat, in de jaren 90 had je dus de Eerste Golfoorlog. Saddam Hussein die valt dus Kuwait binnen, vanwege de olievelden. En Kuwait vraagt internationale hulp, dit en dat. Nou, Saddam is dan verdreven en krijgt sancties. Ja, we weten allemaal Madeleine Albright, die kennen we nog wel, hè? We all remember her, right? Madeleine Albright. Madeleine Albright. It was worth it, right? It was worth it. What was worth what? Well, putting sanctions on Iraq. Yep, it was worth it. I'm going to take a look at this here. Millions of people have died because of these sanctions.
The harshest, most comprehensive sanctions in modern times. Very little goes into the country, virtually no oil goes out. The United States says there wouldn't be any sanctions at all if Saddam stopped lying about his destructive weapons and complied with UN demands. Meanwhile, it's no secret that the sanctions are causing hardships. It's not the leaders who are suffering, it's the people, and especially the children. This is a ward in a pediatric hospital in Baghdad for severely malnourished children. And everywhere we went, we saw children like these, malnourished, some close to starvation. We saw children who needed medicine they couldn't get. And this little boy died of pneumonia an hour after we took these pictures because there were no antibiotics.
We will never forget that, right? Your life was taken away by people who think they have power over other people. Now, this is Madeleine Albright. Luckily, she's dead now. May she rot in hell. But we're going to take a look at Madeleine Albright, who says the sanctions that have killed millions of people was worth it.
States representative at the UN says the sanctions haven't hurt him.
We have found out that he has spent an incredible amount of money on things that are his priorities. Let me show you for the first time what his priority is. This is the presidential yacht.
And he's bought this since the sanctions went into effect?
He has used it. It takes upkeep. Now, in addition to this presidential yacht, he has built 48 new palaces since the war, refurbished others to the tune of $1.5 billion.
She says the U.S. is trying to prevent Saddam Hussein from making and dropping a nuclear bomb or chemical weapons on other countries. And she says he's still lying about his weapons programs.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but the price, we think the price is worth it. It is a moral question, but the moral question is even a larger one. Don't we owe to the American people and to the American military and to the other countries in the region that this man not be a threat?
Well, the biggest threat was the military-industrial complex who sought out the enemy and said, Saddam, you're an enemy. Because first they were friends, right? Eerst waren het vrienden van elkaar. Serieus. Saddam werd dus gesteund door Amerika tijdens de Irak-Iran-oorlog. Ja. Dus ik verzin het niet. We gaan zo even een foto bekijken van Donald Rumsfeld samen met Saddam Hussein. Ja. Even handje drukken, hè. Shake hands with Saddam Hussein, right? Donald Rumsfeld, yep, that guy who was highly involved in 9/11. He was shaking hands with Saddam Hussein during the Iraq-Iran war, right? So there you have it. Guilt by association. Indeed, you are guilty, right? You will be charged by the heavens. Ja, mensen, als er karma bestaat, dan is deze persoon in de hel. Ja. Dus, maar goed, dat hebben we al eerst aangehaald. We zijn tegen oorlog. We zijn tegen belangenverstrengelingen. Dat willen wij niet. Ja. Dus we gaan eventjes kijken naar onze vrienden in Canada. Ja. Hier hebben we Tommy Temper. Die live is in Canada. En die laat allerlei livestreams zien. Ja. Dus ook interessant om dat bij te houden. Er is Memorial Day in Canada. Daar gaan ze dus de gevallenen eren. En de mensen die nog steeds aan het strijden zijn. Ja, die geven hun leven op. Voor eigenlijk voor corporaties. Meer niet. Ja, klinkt misschien heel cru. Maar Smedley Butler die heeft het erover. Smedley Butler die heeft een boek geschreven. War is a Racket. Ja. En ja, dat is het ook. Dat geeft hij zelf toe voor de corporaties te hebben gevochten. Ja. So Smedley Butler had written a book, right? About war is a racket. Now we're gonna show you a quote of Smedley Butler, and we're gonna basically tell what Smedley Butler told us, right? So that's that. Tommy Temper. Always interesting to see what's happening over there in Canada. Dus we gaan eventjes kijken naar Smedley Butler. Ja, War is a Racket. Even kijken, hier, Smedley Butler. So, I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer. Yeah. A gangster for capitalism. I helped make Mexico and especially Tampico safe for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. I helped purify Nicaragua for the international banking house of Brown Brothers in 1902 to 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interest in 1916. Het gaat door. Erg interessante boek. War is a Racket. Ja, wij willen geen oorlog, we willen vrede. Dat is wat we willen. En zodra mensen eindelijk eens een keer doorhebben dat oorlog geen zin heeft, het zal nog wel een tijdje duren. Goed, we gaan natuurlijk even kijken naar wat er gebeurt in Oekraïne. Ja. So we're going to take a look at Ukraine. Payback for Bakhmut. We have Patrick Lancaster in the east of Ukraine, right, giving us reports on what's happening on the ground. Ja, en we gaan even hier naar kijken, naar Patrick Lancaster.
I'm Patrick Lancaster, and right now we are in Yasinovata, racing to the scene of the latest attack by Ukrainian forces on the civilian population of the Donetsk region. And we got word just maybe 15 minutes ago there was an attack on a residential building here in Yasinovata. We see the fire department has arrived, and now we are going to see what the situation here is on the ground.
Come on, come on.
Alright, so just coming into the building, as you see, there was a direct hit on this building. The film is a little bit off the cut, not like a normal report, but you see the fire department is heading out to fight fire in the top floor of the apartment building. We're asked to kind of stay a little bit farther back because it's an active fire and active fighting the fire. So we're showing you exactly what's here on the ground. So let's talk to some people and see what we can outside. Alright, so right now we come down to a lower building where the Donetsk and Russian special services or emergency services are interviewing some of the residents here of the building. Hopefully we can have a chance to talk to them as well about the situation. Здравствуйте. Можете сказать, что произошло, как это было?
Пришел с ночи, спал после работы.
Оно было неожиданно. Я собралась только выйти покурить. Только выйти, хотела покурить, а только что тарахнуло, и мне ухо у меня заложило. У меня ухо заложено теперь.
Ага. И как, сколько времени это было?
Ну, по всей вероятности, больше десятка.
Сколько? Час назад? Полчаса назад?
Где-то около часа назад.
Час назад, ага.
И сколько было прилетов, вы говорите?
Штук 10, а то может быть 12.
И откуда?
We have to end this war, right? We got to end this war. We are against war. Now, there's a lot happening in geopolitics. And as I've said before, in another live stream, there were elections in Turkey, right? So who has won the elections? Of course, it's Erdogan or Erdogan. Yeah. You also had Kılıçdaroğlu, or whatever his name is, and he's been opposing Erdogan for 11 years now, or even longer. So we're going to take a look at this here.
Bugün kimse kaybetmemiştir. 85 milyonun tamamı kazanmıştır. Milletimizin bize verdiği sorumluluğun gereği olarak kimseye kırgın, küskün, kızgın, öfkeli değiliz. Artık seçim dönemine dair tüm tartışmaları ve çekişmeleri bir kenara bırakarak milli hedeflerimiz, milli hayallerimiz etrafında birleşme, bütünleşme vaktidir. Beraber.
Nou, dit betekent dus dat Erdogan eigenlijk moet onderhandelen met Assad. Ja, we weten, Assad is nog steeds niet weg uit Syrië. En die is ook weer opgenomen tot de Arabische Liga, zoals het heet. En na 13 jaar afwezig te zijn geweest, is hij weer terug opgenomen. Dus ja, Erdogan moet toch met Assad door een deur kunnen gaan. Ja, en dat is een moeilijk geval. Want we weten dat er veel vluchtelingen zijn in Turkije vanwege de oorlog in Syrië. Ja, en die werden ook als politiek wapen gebruikt met de verkiezingen. Zo, ja, die vluchtelingen moeten maar weggaan uit Turkije. Allemaal de schuld van de vluchteling, volgens heel veel partijen. Goed. Waarom is Turkije nou zo belangrijk? Nou, zoals je hier zo kan zien hebben we de Zwarte Zee. En dat is tevens een haven voor Rusland. De Krim. En Turkije is er wel een NATO-bondgenoot. Maar de banden versterken binnen Turkije en Rusland. Ja. We weten dat de Nord Stream is opgeblazen. We weten nog steeds niet wie het gedaan heeft, alhoewel het is aangegeven door Seymour Hersh dat Amerika erachter zit samen met Engeland. En waarom is dat van belang en wat heeft het te maken met de Turkse verkiezingen? Nou, we weten ook dat er een Turkstream is, op tafel ligt. Ja. En de Turkstream, dat gaat door de Zwarte Zee. En dat levert Turkije heel veel gas op en olie en zoiets. Ja. Dus, wie weet, misschien kan Turkije dan zo heel veel gas en olie exporteren naar Europa. Ja, moet het wel goed gaan in Europa natuurlijk. Dat is ook een moeilijk geval. So Turkey is a stabilizing factor for Russia because of the Nord Stream pipeline, which is blowing up. Right? Seymour Hersh had made an article of that, and very interesting article to read. So, and why is that on table? Right? Why is that important? Well. The Russians had a deal with Turkey about the Turkstream pipeline, right, which goes through the Black Sea and provides Turkey of gas and oil, which is an export they can provide to the rest of Europe. That would be if Europe is stable, right? Ja, mensen, er gebeurt veel in Europa. En als we nou gaan kijken naar Kosovo, daar waren onlangs verkiezingen en dat werd min of meer geboycott door de Serviërs die dus in Kosovo zitten. Ja, en even zoeken. Zo, hier. Je hebt dus verkiezingen in Kosovo gehad en de Serven erkennen Kosovo eigenlijk niet. En ja, daardoor heeft een minderheid van Albaniërs de macht binnen Kosovo. En daar zijn de Serven dus niet mee eens. Ja, want die erkennen Kosovo niet. Goed, we gaan even hier naar kijken.
In the coming hours, let's move on to what else is happening in the world right now. NATO peacekeeping soldiers have formed security barricades around 3 town halls in northern Kosovo. Police fired tear gas at ethnic Serbs who are protesting against ethnic Albanian mayors taking office. Kosovan police also guarding the buildings. The mayors were elected in April, a poll boycotted by ethnic Serbs who make up the majority in that part of Kosovo. Let's go live now to northern Kosovo. Al Jazeera's Asad Beg is there. Asad, where are you? What's happening there right now?
So we're in South Mitrovica. We're about 10 minutes away from Zvečan, where you've been seeing pictures of those clashes between ethnic Serbs and the Kosovo police. But we're also hearing and seeing pictures of them clashing with the NATO forces there. Now, we were there earlier in the day. The situation was tense. Some cars were being vandalized by those protesters. The police vehicles were spray painted and the protesters were singing along with nationalistic songs and really trying to confront the police. But earlier in the morning, what they had to do was take over that municipality building. Now, it seems like the police were caught slightly off guard this morning. They pushed them back and used gas to get them to disperse, but so many people were there. And when the NATO officials tried to talk with the Serb politicians and said, we want you to get these people to disperse off the streets, the response from the Serb politician was that if I ask these people to move, it will not de-escalate the situation. But right now what we're seeing is that the situation has escalated, despite what Kosovo's international partners have been saying. The United States, the UK, Germany, the EU have condemned Kosovo and its police for trying to take over those municipality buildings. But if you speak to the Kosovan authorities here, they say they have a right to uphold the constitution, that election did happen. And even though there was a very low turnout, less than 3.5%, those mayors were democratically elected and they have the right to take office. But in the northern areas, the Serbs do make up a majority and they don't want to see those mayors take up office, and they've been trying to block them. And that's what we're seeing now. This is what the situation stems from.
Al Jazeera's Asad Beg there, live in Mitrovica in northern Kosovo. Many thanks indeed, Asad.
Dus dat gebeurt in Servië. En we weten hoe Kosovo tot stand kwam. De Balkanoorlog, het opsplitsen van Joegoslavië. En dankzij een referendum van Europese lidstaten hebben zij gezegd van nou, dit stukje is van ons. Ja. Dus dat gebeurt allemaal. En om even een duidelijk beeld te geven. Hier hebben we dus Servië. Ja, heeft ook een hele grote rol gespeeld in de Eerste Wereldoorlog. We weten Frans Ferdinand, die is daar omgekomen. En ja, heeft ook een prominente rol in de Balkan. En we hebben dus ook Kosovo. Ja. En zoals gezegd, hebben Europese lidstaten en ook Amerika hebben ervoor gezorgd dat Kosovo een autonoom entiteit is. Ja, en daar heb je heel veel mensen in Kosovo, Albaniërs, Kroaten en noem het allemaal op. Maar ja, ze zijn tegen de nieuwe machtsstructuur daar in Kosovo. En wie weet hoe het allemaal gaat uitpakken. Het broeit in de Balkan. En ja, dat is een bekend gegeven. So it's brewing in the Balkan, right? We just saw Kosovo, many protests, because of the Albanian minority that's in power over there. And yeah, it's brewing. We also know that Serbia is basically pro-Russia, and one of the countries that, is pro-Russia inside the EU, right? Or the European borders. Turkey also wants to join the EU, but Erdogan does not want that, basically. And maybe we are lucky that Kılıçdaroğlu is not the leader, because they wanted to add Sweden to NATO, right? Now, Erdogan does not want that because Sweden is supporting two Kurdish factions that want an autonomous state in Turkey, right? And Erdogan deems them as terrorists. So, very complex situation over there. If we look at the neighboring countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan, there's also a region, Nagorno-Karabakh, which is inside Azerbaijan, and basically it's a colony within Azerbaijan, and an Armenian colony, and that has a lot of tensions going on over there. So, ja mensen, geopolitiek is best wel ingewikkeld, maar iemand moet het uitleggen. En dat proberen wij dus te doen. Ja, dus ja, het is nogal een complexe situatie. We laten zo even een filmpje zien van de Armenië-Azerbeidzjan conflict dat nou eventjes bevroren is. En dat komt met name door Rusland. Ja, Rusland was een tussenpersoon tussen het conflict. En we gaan eventjes naar een filmpje kijken, zodat jullie een duidelijker beeld hebben. Wacht even hoor. Zo. Nagorno-Karabakh. We gaan even hier naar kijken.
On September 27th, explosions shook Nagorno-Karabakh. It's a mountainous region between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and the center of a relentless dispute between these countries. Nagorno-Karabakh is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but was occupied by Armenia in a war almost 30 years ago. Both countries' armies have been dug in along this line ever since. Fighting occasionally broke out, but usually died down. This time was different. Fierce fighting erupted in September 2020 and quickly became a full-scale war. Both sides were accused of bombing civilian areas in the region. Thousands of people died, including 100 civilians. Then, in a sudden and dramatic turn in this decades-old conflict, Armenia surrendered. A ceasefire was signed on November 9th, and Azerbaijan declared victory. So, what sparked this war? And what does the ceasefire mean for this fiercely contested place? Nagorno-Karabakh is in the Caucasus, between Europe and Asia. Historically, its population has been mostly ethnic Armenian, with a substantial Azeri minority.
It's dotted with medieval Armenian churches. There's always had this strong Armenian population. And to complicate things, there's in the 18th century a kind of very big, important Azerbaijani town. The citadel of Shusha was founded right in the middle of this territory. So this was a region that was incredibly important both to Armenians and to Azerbaijanis.
But for most of the 19th century, it was ruled by the Russian Empire. After the empire fell in 1918, ethnic Armenians and Azeris formed new countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and they immediately fought over this region. But just 3 years later, Russian Soviets captured the entire Caucasus. The Soviets eventually made Armenia and Azerbaijan republics within the Soviet Union and drew new borders. And they made Nagorno-Karabakh a semi-autonomous region in the Azerbaijani Republic, despite its majority Armenian population. Ethnic Armenians there frequently asked to join the Armenian Republic, but were denied.
This was the Soviet Union, there was no democracy, there was no dialogue, the kind of problem festered for all those years.
Still, there weren't signs of war until the Soviet Union began to loosen its grip. In the late 1980s, the Soviet Union announced a new policy called Glasnost that gave its people more political freedoms, but it had unintended consequences.
A peaceful Soviet Union seems increasingly at risk. Glasnost has given people freedom not only to create, but to hate. Ancient feuds erupting, such as the one between Azerbaijan and Armenia.
In 1988, ethnic Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh passed a referendum to leave the Azerbaijan Republic, reviving the conflict. In Armenia, people rallied for unification, while in Azerbaijan, people responded with counter-protests. Violence soon erupted in Nagorno-Karabakh. As the Soviet Union fell apart, Armenia and Azerbaijan declared independence, escalating the conflict into a war. About 20,000 people died, and over 1 million were forced to flee their homes in the region. Fighting raged for 3 more years until Armenia finally won. In 1994, both sides signed a ceasefire agreement freezing the conflict. Armenia occupied several pieces of Azerbaijan, as well as Nagorno-Karabakh, which was still legally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, even though it had declared itself an autonomous region at the start of the war. This occupation displaced hundreds of thousands of Azeris from their homes. The deal was brokered by Russia, who was a formal ally to Armenia, but also had a good relationship with Azerbaijan.
Russia's role has always been a bit ambiguous here because although they are the main mediator, they've had their own agenda, which is to keep their influence in the region and, if possible, get Russian troops back on the ground.
While Russia was not able to send troops as part of the deal in 1994, it did end up leading a new international group with France and the US to try and find a permanent solution to the conflict. But Armenia and Azerbaijan refused to settle. Instead, Armenia renamed formerly Azeri towns and repopulated them with ethnic Armenians, while its leaders called for it to be officially unified with Armenia. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan planned to back. From 2008 to 2019, it spent $24 billion on its military, 6 times more than Armenia, all the while reiterating its claim to Nagorno-Karabakh.
Карабах всем миром, равнинный, Нагорный, признан как неотъемлемая часть Азербайджана.
On the ground, both countries maintained a military presence along the front lines, where skirmishes broke out occasionally. In 2016, they fought a war that lasted 4 days.
People called this a frozen conflict, but it was in no way a frozen conflict. It was a smoldering conflict.
And it reignited when another country suddenly intervened.
Türk dünyası içindeki dayanışmanın her geçen gün daha da pekişmesi, işbirliğimizin daha da güçlenmesi doğrusu bizler için bir iftihar.
In the past few years, Turkey has increasingly intervened in conflicts around the region in order to tilt the outcomes in its favor. By sending troops into the Syrian civil war, it captured a swath of territory along its border in 2019. And in 2020, its troops have turned the tide of the Libyan civil war in favor of the government, who is helping Turkey claim valuable natural gas deposits in the Mediterranean. These are also ways for Turkey to push back against its major rival, Russia, who is also fighting in both conflicts. So in July 2020, when skirmishes broke out in Nagorno-Karabakh, Turkey saw an opportunity and threw its support behind Azerbaijan, whose majority Azeri population is a Turkic ethnic group.
Azerbaijan is probably the closest country there is to Turkey. The 2 languages are extremely close. There was even talk of, 1 nation and 2 states.
In August, the two held joint military exercises in Azerbaijan. and Turkey's supply of weapons to Azerbaijan dramatically surged, which included advanced drones.
I think this conflict has been planned for many months, jointly in Ankara and in Baku.
And so with Turkey's support, Azerbaijan launched. In just over a week, Azerbaijani soldiers had pushed at least 20 kilometers into Armenian-held territory. A few weeks later, they advanced further into Nagorno-Karabakh, and also got close to the Armenian border. It wasn't a fair fight. Armenia fought back, but was nearly defenseless against Azerbaijan's deadly drones. Then, on November 8th, Azerbaijan won its biggest victory. It captured the historic city of Susha, just kilometers from the capital, Stepanakert. That's when Armenia agreed to surrender. The ceasefire agreement that ended the war dramatically reshapes who controls Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijan will keep what it captured, and take over this part from Armenia. This part remains under control of ethnic Armenians, but they won't be alone. Russia didn't intervene in the war, but brokered this deal, which calls for 2,000 of its troops to serve keepers.
Operatie, zeg maar. En er zijn weinig mensen die het weten. De voorgeschiedenis is allemaal een gegeven iets. Ik zie ook commentaar dat mensen dit niet op school hebben gehad. Ja, dit ontnemen ze jullie. Ja, ze willen niet dat je het wijdere conflict ziet. En daar ook geen begrip voor hebt. En zoiets. We zijn allemaal mensen, ja, ongeacht die ideologische stroom. Dus ik zie dat het connectie-issues heeft. Dus, nou ja, ik hoop dat jullie dat mee hebben gekregen. We zijn allemaal mensen, ongeacht waar je vandaan komt. En ja, wij willen vrede. Dat willen wij. En we weten wie de vijand is. Dat is het militair-industrieel complex. We hebben zo net Smedley Butler laten zien. Die dus met zijn boek War is a Racket. Ja, en we laten ook zo eventjes Eisenhower zien. Ja, die ons waarschuwt over het militair-industrieel complex. Dat doen we ook heel vaak bij RHTVLive. Herhaling is goed, zegt men. Zo blijft het ook plakken. Ja. Dus, maar eerst wil ik jullie even aanwijzen wat voor oorlogsmisdaden wij als Nederland op ons geweten hebben. Wij hebben dus een proxy gesteund, Debat al-Shamia. En dat heeft 25 miljoen euro gekost. En om Assad uit de weg te krijgen daar in Syrië. En ja, het heeft niet geholpen. We gaan even hier naar kijken. Nederland gaf steun aan jihadisten. Ja, welke kant van de oorlog steun je? Je moet ook wel begrip hebben hoe de oorlog in elkaar steekt. Ja, Syrië werd aangevallen door meerdere landen. Het was geen civiele oorlog. Dus Nederland heeft in Syrië een jihadistische beweging gesteund. Dat blijkt uit onderzoek van Nieuwsuur en Trouw. Het gaat om Debat al-Shamia, die door het Openbaar Ministerie wordt omschreven als een criminele organisatie met terroristisch oogmerk. Ja. Dus, even kijken, tussen mei 2015 en voorjaar 2018 steunde Nederland 22 gewapende gematigde groepen in Syrië. Goh, en dan maar afvragen, hoe komt het nou dat er zoveel Syriërs in Nederland komen? Ja, ja. Misschien omdat wij jihadisten steunen. Meneer Rutte, je bent een oorlogscrimineel. Dat ga ik je nog recht in je gezicht zeggen ook. Die kregen geen wapens, maar wel voor ruim 25 miljoen euro aan auto's, 313 in totaal. Voedsel, medicijnen, communicatieapparatuur, tenten, uniformen en trainingen. Ze kregen dus meer dan de gemiddelde bejaarde hier in Nederland krijgt. Ja, dus weet je nog dat Rutte die 1000 euro beloofde? Nou, die zie je dus ook niet, hè, die 1000 euro. Goed, we laten natuurlijk ook het militair-industrieel complex zien. Want dat is de echte vijand. En waarom is dat de echte vijand? Nou, die wijst allerlei landen aan die de vijand zijn volgens hun. En we gaan even hier naar kijken. Eisenhower, farewell address.
A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
We are informed, we are knowledgeable, and we are spreading the information. Ja, er werd ook gezegd, misschien is Rogier toch wel een goede gast voor de poppenkast. Kom maar op, kom maar op. Ja. Dus het is altijd interessant om met andere mensen te praten. Stuur ze maar dit live video. En ja, wie weet, misschien nemen ze wel contact mee op. We gaan zo afsluiten met Keep Your Spirit Up van Natasha Maeve uit Canada.
up the truth in these songs. If I didn't, I wouldn't feel like I'm righting my wrongs. I gotta switch it up. I'm sick of the sadness, sick of the anger. I rap it out to an old school beat that hits so hard it's a headbanger. I'm breaking free. I was trapped in the everyday chamber. I escape now. Now you can dance for the remainder of this tape now. I'm lightening the mood because we gotta keep in shape. Keep the balance while we stay awake. Make no mistake, don't pretend that it's all good, but don't think that it's all bad. There's a lot of love, a lot of light, a lot of memories to be made and good times to be had. I wanna bring back that boom bap, dance your ass off all night. Real dancing while you're free, not twerk and treat you like a rag doll. You're acting brain dead, I'm done with Sergio. That's what Jane said. I watched a flag fall, and I know it's time to live our lives like it's our last day. Humans are treating Mother Earth like she's an ashtray. They won't make it home on the last train. Where we going? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I just know that this matrix is a fucking lie. So I'm getting out and I'm living life. The trees, the breeze, the rocks, the plants, the medicine, the dirt, the water. I am Mother Earth's daughter. Too smart to be a victim of the slaughter. And this beat, could it get any hotter? You know I love the fire because I get to watch it all burn down. This phony ass empire. I love the fire cause we get to watch it all burn down. This phony ass empire. So love the fire. Keep your mind sharp, keep your body strong, keep your lips smiling, keep your eyes brightened, keep your spirit up, 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 keep your spirit up, keep your spirit up, 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 keep your mind sharp, keep your body strong, keep your lips smiling, keep your eyes brightened, keep your spirit up, 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 keep your spirit up, keep your spirit up, 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 keep your heart loving, keep it light. Bump to this heavy beat and let the pain and the energy that you don't need escape and be free. It's alright. You can use this music as your therapy. Every time the snare hits, it's clearing your body and your mind from the trash you don't need. It's magic, it's alchemy. Just put a little trust in me. I got you. Most of my life, no one had me. Now I can see exactly what we all need. So let it go, bob your head, dance it out. Feel these words in every cell of your body. Feel these words, feel these words, feel these words. Goodbye pain, goodbye to the thoughts that don't serve my brain. Goodbye to the doubt, I don't doubt myself. Those days are long gone, I live for the earth. Life goes on, goodbye lies. Goodbye to the shitty parts of yesterday. They do nothing for us, it's a new day. Hello good times, hello to the laughs. The strength, the self-love, the smell of the flowers, the sunshine, the warmth of a fire on a cold day. Fuck the future, fuck the old days. Hello to now, right now, right now. It's all about now. So stay in the moment and keep your mind sharp. Keep your body strong, keep your lips smiling, keep your eyes brightened, keep your spirit up, up, up. Keep your spirit up, keep your spirit up, up, up. Keep your mind sharp, keep your body strong, keep your lips smiling, keep your eyes brightened, keep your spirit up, up, up. Keep your spirit up, keep your spirit up, up, up. Keep your heart loving, keep it light.
All I want is freedom, right? I don't want any invisible chains holding me down. I want freedom, that's what I want. Daar streven naar. Vrijheid, dat hebben we nodig. En dan zou je zeggen, van, ja, we zijn toch al vrij? Ja, ik dacht het niet. Ga jij maar eens naar een winkel toe, zonder dat je geld hebt. Ja. Kun je niet veel kopen hoor. Goed, we gaan er vandoor. Doei doei mensen. Ik hoop dat jullie van de uitzending genoten hebben. En we zien ons niet morgen, maar overmorgen weer. Bye bye. And see you guys next time. En oh ja, mocht je die gast van de poppenkast spreken, ik ben wel in voor een interview. Doei doei.